Hey guys, want to talk to you today about my personal health crisis. Okay, so I know I've talked about Ray's particular health crisis where he wasn't really taking care of himself, wasn't checking his sugar regularly, wasn't seeing his doctor, wasn't doing all the things he needed to do, ended up with a sugar so high and potassium so low that he went into a diabetic coma. And he lost a lot of weight. He was starving. He couldn't eat. His body acid was so high he couldn't eat. But today, I'm not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what happened to me slightly before this. So at the beginning of the year 2009, I want to say. It's 2009 or 2010, I can't remember. Anyway, doesn't matter. I had been having trouble with gallstones with my liver for years. Kind of happened. I'm sorry. Okay, let's start at the beginning. When I was pregnant with Lydia, I had an idiot doctor who told me that even though I was craving fruits and wanted to eat fruits, that I shouldn't eat fruits because of all the sugar. This idiot told me that it would be better for me to eat one candy bar and if I was craving something sweet than to eat a couple of oranges or some apples or grapes. Now, that's stupid. You know that's stupid. Anybody who, eats a lot of junk food has to know that this is the dumbest thing they've ever heard. So I stopped seeing this jerk, and there were many reasons, but that was that and the fact that he told me that I would have to have a C-section, and I was not about that, and so left him, went to see a midwife, but there's something about when a doctor tells you something, right? Like, they're in authority. So part of you, even though you know it's dumb, is going to listen. Well, I'm not saying that I ate a bunch of candy bars, but I stopped eating a lot of fruit. And even though it was one of the few things I could eat because I was really sick all the time. Anyway, so I started having some gallbladder issues after Lydia was born. Not terrible. It would happen just maybe once every few months. I would have a pain in my side. I wouldn't be able to sleep. Then we had Victor. And after Victor was born, I started having more of these problems. It would feel like I had just when I would try to go to sleep, it would feel like I was laying on top of a mountain, like the rocky and hard and jutting out. Not like physically I was, I'm up on a mountain, but like all the things that you wouldn't find appealing about sleeping on a bed that looks like a mountain. And I started looking into it and found out that, it was more than likely gallstones. And me, ever since my doctor died, my childhood growing up family practitioner, the best doctor I've ever known, I've had a hard time going to other doctors. I don't like them. So, I mean, he was just the best doctor in the world. He always listened to me. He knew that I was smart and that I was educated, and he talked to me like someone who understood what was going on instead of talking to me like an idiot. And that is one of my triggers. I don't like being talked to like I'm an idiot. So I started looking into it, and I'm like, alright, I want to fix this with diet. So at that point, we started eating like a lot more vegetables, a lot more grains, a lot less meat. Still eating meat, but a lot less meat. And I did have some success, not a lot, but I was also losing weight, and I read everywhere that losing weight can flare up gallstones because, you know, your body is processing the fat that you're losing, and so that can, you know, have problems building up gallstones. Okay, so then I have Alex, and 5 days after he was born, we were robbed. When we came home, the robbers were still in the house. It was very scary. They broke in through the back door. We ended up having to pay for that and for all the damage that they did, because they broke a lot of stuff. They just really ransacked our apartment, and we had to pay for the damages. And it was just a really bad time, so we moved. For one thing, they did not know that we had 3 kids, and we had just had the 3rd kid, and they only allowed for 2 kids in the apartment, and for another, you know, we just didn't want to live there anymore. It was scary. So we moved, and it wasn't the best of times. My husband was having to drive all the way to Dothan to work, all the way home, hardly ever saw each other because he worked long hours and in the middle of the night. So he was trying to get a job here, and it was taking a toll on his health. He was losing a lot of weight, and like I said, he wasn't checking his sugar like he should have, and he wasn't taking care of himself like he should have. And so he quit that job and got another job here, and I was exercising a lot and tracking my food and trying to eat good. And then one day I woke up and I tried to eat breakfast, and it felt like nothing was moving inside of me. And I just had this monster headache. I had monster pain in my side. It was really horrible. And I actually started like turning yellow because I had jaundice from the gallbladder obstruction. Okay, so my sister-in-law had a similar thing happen to her. She had fatty liver and gallstones due to diet, and I remember running into her, and she was telling me about this, and she was like, yeah, my doctor put me on a high protein diet, a lot of meat and some vegetables, and cut out all the grain, and I've never felt better. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. You are not getting the fiber you need to keep that moving. That just doesn't sound right. That's dumb. And I kind of laughed about it. And then I had this problem, and I'm like, my mom was like, you need to go to the doctor, you're going to have to get your gallbladder removed. And I'm like, let me see if I can take care of it. Give me a week. Let me see if I can take care of it with food, with diet, with something. If not, then I'll go to the hospital or whatever. So I found a website, and it was like, do this, do this, do this, and I did all of that. I didn't eat, well, and anyway, I really couldn't eat, like, I wasn't hungry, nothing was going through. It was like, don't eat, have a tablespoon of olive oil, which was terrible, take some Oregon grape, and what else was it? Drink some dandelion root tea, and drink prune juice. And within 3 days, I had cleared up the jaundice. I felt better, and I was able to eat again. Okay. But I was still having some pain that I was like, I would just daily drink prune juice and keep going. So, been trying to lose weight for years. And I can't remember. Anyway, I ended up getting a book by somebody whose last name is Virgin, and she wrote The Virgin Diet. You may have heard of it. Pretty popular at the time, and so she was like, don't eat these common trigger foods: soy, peanuts, gluten, some other things I can't remember exactly. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we going to eat? We're going to try this, but what are we going to eat? And so I started looking into what I could eat, and that's how I found the paleo diet. And then I started reading stuff, and it was like, oh, this is the best diet for this and that and this and that. And it reminded me of that doctor telling my sister-in-law that she could, heal her fatty liver by eating high protein, low carb diet. So I'm like, alright, we'll give it a shot. We'll eat this way. And at first, I felt better. I had more energy than I had. I had less pain, less gallstones, less, my skin, I had like really bad rosacea, and this is kind of like mild rosacea what I got going on, and some of it is bug bites because the bugs are really bad right now. And so I was like, my skin cleared up a little bit, which was amazing, and I was like, okay, this is what we're doing now. And I got really into it, like I do with things, and we had some success. My husband's blood sugar became more controlled. The kids were feeling better. I was feeling better. And then after the first year, really didn't see the same results that we did that first year. We had to do like Whole30 just to see any results afterwards. And by doing the Whole30, like after doing the Whole30, I would usually gain back all the weight that I had lost during the Whole30 plus some. And it got to where it was harder and harder to keep weight off. It was harder and harder to lose weight. And so I was like, something's got to give. I kept looking into stuff, trying to find something. And then a few weeks ago, I can't remember how long it's been now, time is just flying past, but a few weeks ago, I was sitting down and I was writing out something, and I was like, okay, well, maybe like on Monday we'll eat paleo, and on Tuesday we're gonna eat like a vegetarian, and then on Wednesday we're gonna eat traditional Indian, like, sattvic diet, and then on Thursday we're gonna try vegan, and then on Friday we're gonna do vegan, and then on Saturday we're gonna have like a cheat day and maybe some comfort foods, and then on Sunday we're gonna do vegan. And so I go to my husband with this, and I'm like, how do you think about this? What do you think about trying this? And he's like, okay, because he's learned not to argue with me about stuff like this, because it's going to happen, and if he argues with me, I'm just going to be upset when I finally like nudge him into thinking the way that I'm thinking. I'm going to be like, why do you do this? And so he's just like, okay. And then I started watching some videos and learning about what it means to be vegan, and how not being vegan is so destructive to your health and to the planet and to the animals. And I was just like, okay, we're vegan now. And he's like, I figured. And since then, I have had so little problems with my gallbladder. There have been times when in the past, there have been times when I would have pain in my side, and I would go to bed knowing that when I woke up, I was going to have a truly horrendous migraine. The pain in my side was going to be worse, and it was going to be a bad day. And there was nothing I could do about it, because not even painkillers would really help. And I just knew that the next day I was going to wake up and not be able to eat. Now, there's been maybe 3 times in the past few weeks where I have gone to bed with that pain in my side, and I wake up and it's gone. And it's fantastic. I'm so happy. I've had very few migraines. I've had very few problems, and it's just amazing, because even just a little meat, because before we didn't eat a lot of meat until we went paleo, but even just a little meat, even just a little dairy can make such a big difference in how you feel. And I never would have guessed that until we actually did it. So I would really, if you have any health problems, if you have any compassion for animals, if you have any concerns about the planet, I would say go vegan. I would say it to anyone. I would say it to, everyone. Even the, crazy, stubborn people out in the world, I would still say it to them. And I hope you do. I hope you go vegan with me. And I would love to hear about the wonderful benefits that you've seen. And I would like this video so that the message gets out, and subscribe, because I need you guys to help me get the message out there. And you do that by subscribing, you do that by liking the video, and I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow. We'll see. And in the meantime, I love you guys, so it's gonna be okay. Just do it. Make sure you're getting enough to eat. Do it, and you'll feel so much better. So, bye.